Bang, baby, we trying to get used to new ways of doing this streaming thing, baby. We don't need your abuse. We don't need your small penis ruining our dream. Yeah. Damn. Now let me tell you about it, baby. When you're doing these careers and you're trying to make sweet love, not hate, baby. Sweet love with your audience. And you have to face this kind of persecution, baby. It's hard. It's challenging, baby. It's challenging. Let me tell you, baby, every day, man, I wake up and I thank the sweet Lord for the opportunity to be here with all of you. So one more time, baby. No more abuse. No more abuse. These losers with they three-letter names go roll on top of your fat caboose. No more abuse. Ow! No more abuse. So there's a message to all these effing boneheads screwing my career. I just had to testify, baby. I'm just gonna testify right now. Ooh, oh, sweet Lord, now. You know this has been my dream, baby. Ooh, getting on here doing this streaming thing. But let me tell you now, all my life, baby, I'm talking all my life, I've just wanted to entertain the sweet live audience. And baby, there was no father there for me to teach me the struggles of the streets. So I looked up to these dudes who did the dream that I wanted to achieve. So one day, baby, I got on my computer and I started to spread this word, started to build this brand. And then all of a sudden, baby, the numbers start to go up, and these old praying dogs start to get the penises up. Let me tell you now, they don't want this whole PWR thing. No, they don't want, baby, this PWR thing to gain traction, to build a real career, to bring the positivity, man, it only brings them fear. Oh, let me tell you, damn, just when you think you're building something, baby, and we're saying it loud, baby, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, baby, I'm talking, no more abuse. No more abuse. DSVRT, you go roll over on top of your 3 out of 10 cows. Ow! No more abuse. No more abuse. We just over here doing our own thing, baby. We trying to get used to new ways of doing this streaming thing, baby. We don't need your abuse. We don't need your small penis ruining our dream. Yeah. Damn. Now let me tell you about it, baby. These careers and you're trying to make sweet love, not hate, baby. Sweet love with your audience. And you have to face this kind of persecution, baby. It's hard. It's challenging, baby. It's challenging. Let me tell you, baby, every day, man, I wake up and I thank the sweet Lord for the opportunity to be here with all of you. So one more time, baby. No more abuse, no more abuse. These losers with they three-letter names go roll on top of your fat caboose. No more abuse. Ow! No more abuse. So there's a message to all these effing boneheads screwing my career. I just had to testify, baby. I'm just gonna testify right now. Ooh, oh, sweet Lord, now. You know this has been my dream, baby. Ooh, getting on here doing this streaming thing. But let me tell you now, all my life, baby, I'm talking all my life, I've just wanted to entertain the sweet live audience. And baby, there was no father there for me to teach me the struggles of the streets. I looked up to these dudes who did the dream that I wanted to achieve. So one day, baby, I got on my computer and I started to spread this word, started to build this brand. And then all of a sudden, baby, the numbers start to go up. And these old praying dogs start to get the penises up. Let me tell you now, they don't want this whole PWR thing. No, they don't want, baby, this PWR thing to gain traction, to build a real career, to bring the positivity, man, it only brings them fear. Oh, let me tell you, damn, just when you think you're building something, baby, and we're saying it loud, baby, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, baby, I'm talking, no more abuse. No more abuse, DSPRTU, go roll over on top of your 3 out of 10 cows. Ow! No more abuse, no more abuse. We just over here doing our own thing, baby. We trying to get used to new ways of doing this streaming thing, baby. We don't need your abuse, we don't need your small penis ruining our dream. Yeah. Damn. Now let me tell you about it, baby. These careers and you're trying to make sweet love, not hate, baby. Sweet love with your audience, and you have to face this kind of persecution, baby. It's hard. It's challenging, baby. It's challenging. Let me tell you, baby, every day, man, I wake up and I thank the sweet Lord for the opportunity to be here with all of you. So one more time, baby. No more abuse, no more abuse. These losers with they 3-letter names go roll on top of your fat caboose. No more abuse, ow! No more abuse. So there's a message to all these effing boneheads screwing my career. I just had to testify, baby. I'm just gonna testify right now. Ooh, oh, sweet Lord, now. You know this has been my dream, baby. Ooh, getting on here doing this streaming thing. But let me tell you now, all my life, baby, I'm talking all my life, I've just wanted to entertain the sweet live audience. And baby, there was no father there for me to teach me the struggles of the streets. So I looked up to these dudes who did the dream that I wanted to achieve. So one day, baby, I got on my computer and I started to spread this word, started to build this brand. And then all of a sudden, baby, the numbers start to go up. And these old praying dogs start to get the penises up. Let me tell you now, they don't want this whole PWR thing. No, they don't want, baby, this PWR thing to gain traction, to build a real career, to bring the positivity, man, it only brings them fear. Oh, let me tell you, damn, just when you think you're building something, baby, and we're saying it loud, baby, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, baby, I'm talking, no more abuse. No more abuse, DSPRTU, go roll over on top of your 3 out of 10 cows. Ow! No more abuse, no more abuse. We just over here doing our own thing, baby. We trying to get used to new ways of doing this streaming thing, baby. We don't need your abuse, we don't need your small penis ruining our dream. Yeah. Damn. Now let me tell you about it, baby. These careers and you're trying to make sweet love, not hate, baby. Sweet love with your audience, and you have to face this kind of persecution, baby. It's hard. It's challenging, baby. It's challenging. Let me tell you, baby, every day, man, I wake up and I thank the sweet Lord all of you. So one more time, baby. No more abuse, no more abuse. These losers with they three-letter names go roll on top of your fat caboose. No more abuse. Ow! No more abuse. So there's a message to all these effing boneheads screwing my career. I just had to testify, baby. I'm just gonna testify right now. Ooh, ooh, oh, sweet Lord, now. You know this has been my dream, baby.
Fans, you may have heard of us doing this whole PWR speaks thing. Well, let me tell you, we're starting up again. We are starting up again doing PWR speaks. And I have to tell you guys, I'm not at a loss for words. But I'm incredibly emotional tonight because I think this is going to be a really powerful piece. And a lot of you may be confused. The reason I'm not doing it on webcam is because I want this to really be a statement piece. You know, they like to call me lol cow. They like to call me lol cow. You know, because so many of you people, that's all you know. And I'm coming in here to speak on something I'm passionate about. And not only that, but something really challenging to talk about as well. And as you see by the title, what we are speaking about tonight is asking the question, has RTU, ReviewTechUSA, has his sexuality just gone too far in the recent times, in the recent era of his career? Now, a few things before we get started. First off, baby, I want to thank Darkside Bird Real, who has gifted 5 memberships before we even got on the air to speak tonight. We got 5 subs, so thank you very much. Second of all, guys, this stream is going to be very much interactive as well. You know, I want you to get cozy. You know, turn the lights down, you know, get settled. Grab your blanket. And, you know, as we explore some of these findings that I've had, some of these findings, and let me tell you, I really had to put myself into this dark place. You know, I think you guys know enough by now to know that when I come on here, you know, I like to do the classic gaming. I like to, you know, have fun and, you know, speak up against abuse. But let me tell you, some of these topics are incredibly challenging to research. It's hard. You really do find yourself finding this dark vein of reality. And not only just reality, but this dark vein within the industry. Now, we've talked about RTU before, and as you see on the screen right now, I myself, yeah, that's right, me, PWR, I am an RTU victim. I am an RTU victim. And if you look here, this is a perfect example of why. You know, when I was in a very vulnerable position, when I was basically brought to my bedside by some of the behavior, and you'll notice it's a common thread here. It's a common thread here. You know, a lot of these aging Gen X guys, you know, just like Stuttering Craig, DSP, who once brought me a lot of joy, had me essentially bedridden, emotionally bedridden at the lengths that some of these men have gone to. And what do you have here? What do you have here? You have RTU victimizing me. And you know what? It's hard to say this. And I told myself that I didn't want to say this. I told myself that this kind of language was not appropriate. But when I came across this, I felt molested. I did. I felt molested by RTU. You see that look? You see that look on his face as we zoom in there? You know, as if some trusted uncle, you know, looking in the door in the middle of the night. And it was an incredibly challenging place to be, to have a man like this with his eyes set on you, digitally molesting you, exposing your content to his band of degenerates, which we're going to get into. I'm sorry. I promised myself I could do this tonight. I promised myself I could do this. So we're going to get into the topics here. I'm going to remind you guys, this is very much an interactive piece. I will really quick here share. I'm starting the link here now. So before I really get into the format here, fans, I am going to take a quick minute to share the Streamlabs link. If you want to call into the program, you have two choices. You can click on the Streamlabs app, or you can call me on Discord. And I want to thank you guys. We got 6 effing memberships. See, this is the power of speaking up. This is the power of doing the right thing. And I want to remind all of you effing boneheads out there, this is not lolcow. This is serious. This is not some Keno casino ball toss, hooting and hollering, bell ring. This is a serious educational piece that I, shed blood emotionally to bring to you. I've done a lot of research. I've connected a lot of dots. And I have a lot to say. So like I said, this is meant to be interactive. If you want to call in, feel free. If I'm sort of in the middle of speaking, it might take some time, but I'll try to get to you. So, with that out of the way, let's get to it. Thank you for the support. So, also to remind everybody that I have listed ReviewTechUSA on this new concept, this new board. And a lot of victims are coming forward. It is called Name Him, where, us who are victimized have the opportunity to name our abuser. So I did name ReviewTechUSA on that website. And, if you have somebody that you want to name, I think now is the time. This is the movement. That is namehim.com. So we are going to get into the topics here. I have, some bullet points, a lot of research. I do want to start this by a lot of this is my own opinion, my own research methods. We want to remind everybody that there's no charges here. There's no prison sentence yet. But I put a lot of work into this. It's going to be emotional one last time. I want to encourage anybody who wants to reach out. Whatever you got to do, you can call me 100 times in a row. We're good. This is your time to speak about your abuse. Give your perspective on a very, very sick man in this industry. And I will try my best to read comments as well. I'm at least looking at them, guys. It's a little tough when I'm doing these streams that are just talking. I'm fired up. I'm hot. PWR Speaks is now officially in effect. So one of my first points here that I wanted to get into was the early days of sexuality within the tech sort of geek space. In the 80s, in the 80s and, coming into the 90s as well, a lot of like nerd, geek culture was really frowned upon. These are the guys that are kind of sneaking across the hobby shops, or, they didn't really have much of an identity when it came to sexuality. When we're talking, Revenge of the Nerds, that era where the geek nerd culture was very much looked down upon. All of a sudden, you get into the 2000s, and all of a sudden now it starts to shift, where the nerd, the geek gamer guys were starting to really come up. I mean, some of you might remember movies such as Napoleon Dynamite. You guys might remember films such as Superbad. Where we get that really sort of raunchy, sort of nerd culture that's explored. And I believe, as being what I assume is an aging Gen X, that RTU, Review Tech USA, really came up in that era. Where I assume growing up, he probably didn't have much of an identity. Probably had a lot of struggles in his teen years and then coming up into adulthood. But all of a sudden now you have these movies come out in the 2000s like 40-Year-Old Virgin that really take those stereotypes and kind of flip them on their head. Again, you had a lot of that animated degeneracy. You had the South Park. You had Family Guy, Homer Simpson, these type of characters were really starting to come into vogue. And I think this is very much where RTU's journey into sexuality begins. Now, a lot of you, I just want to go on record and say, I didn't grow up celebrating RTU. I never have. I know a lot of people have. Now, I've started to learn about his whole skinnity bop poo poo era. His whole original era when he was coming up. Because I do remember, clicking on some of those videos here and there back in the original era. But I never connected the dots. I never knew that it was actually the same person. We have somebody in the chat that says, I actually watched him in the beginning. So what I want to do is I tried really hard. Now, I want to preface this by saying, if any of you guys really know RTU and his career, and, it can be a bit of a rabbit hole. It can be a bit of a rabbit hole to get into. So I actually, fans, went on the YouTube and I found something from that original skimmity bop poo poo era that I wanted to cover here. Now, this was an older upload of his career, and he's talking about the double standard of men and women back in that 2000s era. Now, I really could have given RTU a pass. I think he really had an opportunity to be, that aging cool uncle, who would talk games, who would, talk 2011, but also can hang in there in a conversation about the modern software, Crimson Desert or whatever's coming up. You could talk about a Star Wars trailer, just like you would, with your cool childless uncle. And he didn't want to go in that direction. I think he wanted to really go all in and sort of present himself in this sexual way. And if you really look back, some of these original skinny beat bop poo poo era pieces, I think, sort of give an insight into where the sexuality begins. And we're going to get in this. We're going to watch some of this. And then we are going to comment on it. And like I said, if anybody wants to call into the program, the link is there. I'm actually really quick, guys. Before we get into the video, I'm going to share the link and I'm going to pin it to the top of the Kick stream. So you guys should be good to go. So here we go. Here is, back in the original era, RTU's take on the double standard of men and women. And as I get further, I made this connotation. I made this connection between sex and rage, which we're going to talk about later here. And I think this piece is a great lead-in to the research that I've done, for later in the program. So here we go.
I don't really care. I'm not going to probably eat anything there anyway. Just get a cup of coffee to meet you. Fine, Panera's. It's tough, though, and I almost wanted to change my mind because So, just to give context, this is actually RTU talking about his experience with women back in that 2008, 2009, 2010 era here. I only have like 1.5 days off, all right? It's technically 2, but it's really not. All right, I work nights, so I don't work Friday and Saturday night, which sounds like 2 days, but
then this is back when he was working as well, he states.
It works with my sleep schedule. It's just hard to explain. So I don't really not only have that much time, it's tough for me even on the nights off to wake up at, go to bed at like 12 and wake up at like 9 or 10 o'clock. It just doesn't happen. I end up going to bed like 4, 5, or 6 because that's what my body's used to. So I wake up, I set my alarm, I wake up like 12 o'clock, 12:15, and I'm like, shit, there's no way I'm meeting her.
And just to remind people as well, because I've talked to a lot of people that knew RTU, this was somebody that people connected with. This was somebody that at one point, for the degeneracy that we're going to get into later in the program, this was still an era where people could relate to what he was saying. Waking up early for work, just the common everyman version of that, sharing his life, talking the challenges of modern dating here.
So I text her and say, hey, could we do 2 o'clock? And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I told you I work a night job. It's tough for me to get to sleep, so on and so forth. She's like, let's just do it another day then. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, can you do, I didn't say they fucking.
See, right there's a perfect example of that rage. That I talk about, that I think is a connection between rage and sex and rage, which we are going to get into. And I actually have a very powerful study about that connection that I very much believe connects to RTU directly here. But you see it here. The way he reacted to the response of this woman, that's repression. That's sex and rage.
Kidding me part, because then she probably definitely would have flipped her shit. I said, can you do half an hour later? 1:30.
So you see that intense tone sort of taking control here.
I could get in the shower, hop in there, and hop my tight ass out and get there at 1:30. No, let's just do it another.
He's referring to his tight ass here back in the day as well.
Other day, I'm a very busy person, and that's why I said 1 o'clock. My weekends are always packed. I'm thinking to myself, what were we going to meet for? 10 minutes? You can't do a half an hour difference? Was this a job interview? Like, did I have to bring my resume to it? Like, what is the
See, does anybody recognize how hateful, how angry that he appears to be while talking about this interaction with a woman here? It's concerning. It's concerning.
Half an hour. I could see, even an hour isn't that big of a deal. I could see if I said like 2 hours or like a different time of the day, completely like nighttime. I'm saying a half an hour because I work nights and I have a different sleep schedule. I'm asking you to cut me some slack. But no, that was it. She said, "No, we can't do it today. My schedule is always too packed during the weekend. And, that's why when I say a time, you have to be there at that time." And I'm like, I'm sitting there when she texted me that when I had set a time, you have to be there. I'm like, all right, are you a drill sergeant? Am I in the military? She was so pissed that I couldn't meet her exactly at the time that she wanted.
Yeah, this
Okay.
this is just a small example at back in the day when I said he could have been that cool uncle. He could have been that cool uncle.
Damn.
Oh, 1 minute. We did get a contribution here from Freewoo 9218, friend of the channel, with a $5 super chat. And he says, and I will read this here. He says, I had a really rough day, and your song at the beginning about no more abuse is the first time I laughed all day. Thank you, PWR. Well, thank you, man. You know, that's the thing. When you cover these dark topics and these sick, twisted people, it's incredible to think that you actually, although you're talking about some pretty challenging stuff, that you can still put a smile, you know, on somebody's face. And that's what I've been saying. I'm not lol cow. See, people, I'm putting smiles on people's faces when they've had a rough day. You know, I'm not sticking my finger up my ass. I'm not talking about my hatred for women. And we're going to get into more. But thank you. Thank you so much. I gotta focus because this is a really challenging piece. This is a really challenging piece, but I very much appreciate that, free woo. I appreciate you. So anyway, this was just a short example. I siphoned through this video, and these were the early days. These were the PS3, Xbox 360 days. And you know, the truth is, if RTU would have stayed in that lane, if today, you know, he was still, you know, pulling up articles from 2010, 11, talking his memories with PS3 and Xbox 360 and left the sexuality out of it, there's a potential I could put him on as bedside comfort. But being a victim of this man, you know, and I'm sure there's other victims out there. I'm sure there's other people with something to say. It is incredible to come forward as somebody who's trying to be positive, just a regular minute-to-minute streamer here. So we are going to move on. My next point I wanted to make, and as you see it here. See, I want you all in the chat right now, as we watch this footage, I want you to tell me how this makes you feel. I'm just going to let the footage play here. See, is this something that you would want to be a part of? Is this the type of content? You know, if you think tech, you know, you're going to think of a guy, you know, 40-something years old, glasses, bald, with a beard, talking the new iPhone or something. Instead, you get this. So not only, I think, are a lot of viewers going to be confused, but there is something that I personally am very confused about, and I've done some research here, and we're going to talk about a bit of it. The reasons for RTU expressing sexuality in his content. Now, one of the reasons that I personally was wondering here, as I look through some of my research in the back here, is a potential of sexual repression. Sexual repression. Now, a lot of us do know that he is in that situation of, you know, being under the sweltering roof of his mother, his father, 40-something years old. And, you know, he does have a wife, he does have kids, and that's fine. You know, at one point, he was able to have a piece of ass come down to the basement with him. But, you know, in the modern era, that can be incredibly challenging under the sweltering roof of the parents. So you have to wonder, has ReviewTechUSA had many opportunities in his life to express himself sexually? And now, being a major name in the industry, having so many eyes on him, but also living with this sexual repression. Could this be a link here? You know, we talk about, there was a great part here that really spoke to me when it comes to RTU. And I'm going to read the article here. It says, a person may be sexually repressed without even knowing it. Here are some behaviors that may signal sexual repression. Discomfort with the sex. One marker of repression is unease around sexual matters. A person may find that they are embarrassed or unable to maintain their composure during talks around sex. A repressed person might feel anxious before or during the sex. Now, see, it's really interesting because you might be saying, hey, wait a minute, PWR, you know, Review Tech USA is really open. He's on the line, he is. On the line, he is. He's very, very open about his sexuality. But when you talk about the signs of sexual repression, it really makes me wonder, you know, how much he is getting to express himself sexually outside of the streaming career here. Now, we are going to get into that. We have some footage. Now, fans, I do want to warn everybody, there is a trigger warning on tonight's piece, because some of the footage that we have is incredibly challenging. But we're going to continue on. You know, he also talks about this study also talks about the guilt or shame following sex. Repression can take away the joy and pleasure commonly associated with the sex. Instead, overwhelming grief may occur when a repressed person gives into sex or thoughts of being intimate with other people. Tears, shame at submitting to the desires, and the self-repulsion are all traits associated with sexual repression. Now, see, it's very interesting because that's what I do truly believe. I believe that the streaming gives Review Tech USA a platform to reflect himself as this godlike sexual being, jiggling the tits, you know, sucking on the cucumber and all this stuff. But it really makes me wonder, does he potentially have a guilt? Does he potentially have shame when he performs in the bedroom with his on and off again partner, who he somehow was able to get down into the basement with him 15 years ago? And also, we do have the difficulty in finding pleasure in sex. Now, this is very interesting as well. When a person considers sex inappropriate, it can be difficult to appreciate the act. Sexually repressed people will often endure rather than enjoy intercourse with partners. This can lead to dissatisfaction and unhappiness between sexual partners. Now, this is another thing I wanted to talk about as well. As he gets more advanced in age, as that sexual desire grows within his mind, and I've talked about this before with men. I've talked about this before. You know, eventually, one-on-one on top of the wife gets old, you know, after a while. And I think for men like RTU, who are so mentally, sexually expressive, I think they get more deviant desires. More deviant desires and scenarios start running through their head that they can't perform with their wife. And we also have discomfort with nudity. Well, we know that's not right. With RTU, he's very comfortable with his nudity. While people may experience discomfort at looking at naked images for several reasons, this distress may be observed in sexually repressed individuals. Suppressed sexuality can cause a person to view the nude form as immoral or depleasing. Also potentially spiking their own self-consciousness and general unhappiness with their appearance. Again, you kind of look at that duality of sexuality with a guy like RTU. You really wonder, how expressive is he sexually in his private life? Or does it all spill out in front of the audience like this? Is this in front of the camera, in front of his audience, where he feels the most comfortable expressing himself sexually because of the guilt, because of the shame, because of the dull bedroom? Another conclusion that I came to here was potentially wanting to help his fans or his community come to terms with who they are sexually. Now, I also do have a piece here that I am going to bring up here, and I found this really interesting. And I spoke about this before. And how concerning that I thought it was. We actually do have, thanks to the me, the mommy, and the daddy, who covers a lot of RTU content. These are the type of people. These are the minds that he is influencing. Now, I'm going to read all of this. Now, anybody, like I said, if you are not comfortable with some of the topics that we're going to be discovering here and talking about together, I'm going to allow you to leave. That's fine. And please be respectful to other people who have suffered at the hands of this man. But I'm going to read these comments and I'm going to get my take of it here. So we talked about a lot of that sexual expression. We have Kaleido Head saying, beg me to slap your ass. We have a RTU fan Phoenix saying, take a massive blank first. And then you have Nova the Squirrel saying, yeah, turns me on. I'm eating pizza right now, says PPP's Arch T. No cuckoldry. Just pepperoni and jalapeno. Again, that connection between RTU's food issues and his sexuality. My hole is going to burn later. See, that's another thing I noticed too. There's a lot of ass fixation. There's a lot of sexuality and a lot of ass fixation. And when I say ass, I'm talking pooping or, farting. And we're going to get into that later. We're going to get into some of that stuff later. I want to devour another bottle of hot sauce. I don't know what hole. Jesus, the hole. Jesus Christ. I just fletched in my basement. They're talking about taking craps here. Focus on your sigma, bro. I'm not going to put it in a bottle and breastfeed it to you. And then they're talking about cucumbers, which, RTU is famous for performing fellatio on. Humping steed. See, look at this degeneracy. Look at this degeneracy. And again, where does it come from? His sick mind. His sick mind. We talked about people who cultivate these cultures and these followings of hatred and abuse. But when you take a brief snapshot into RTU's community, you see that he's cultivating this culture of repressed sexuality. And, I think there's a really interesting point to make that nowadays, with the social media and the DMs and all this crap, men with these sick desires are more able to express their sexuality. There was a time where maybe you'd be speaking with somebody on the phone or, in person. And you wouldn't be talking about taking a crap. You wouldn't be talking about shoving hot sauce up your hole or any, like, and I think now with the social media and with the way things move in 2026, a lot of these sick men are more able to express their darker sexual desires more openly. And now listen, it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there, because as I prepared this piece, more and more concerning things were coming forward that I have saved on my X page here that I am going to talk about. And we have another article in relation to this situation that I think is incredibly concerning. Here is 8-Bit Eric speaking here. And this is incredibly concerning. This is incredibly concerning to me. Now you have 8-Bit Eric saying, creepy old man vibes. ReviewTechUSA stalking social media of someone from Chrissy Mayer's stream. Looks like Cherry Pervez better start blocking Richard right now. And look at that look. Look at that look. Now, men, looking at a woman like this, you know, I would have the wherewithal. I would have the experience to know, you know, that's out of my ballpark. I can't afford that. I'm not trades. I don't have land. I don't have my own business. But look at this look of RTU, like a kid in a candy shop, lusting after this Gen Z woman here on the social media pages. And just like I said, with the way I felt victimized, now I'm gonna compare and contrast these images here. You know, when I spoke out and felt that I was a victim of RTU here. This individual is very much a victim as well. And, you know, we had a lot of speculation about some of his activities in regards to the photos of younger women, you know, and if we do get into that discussion, we're going to be very appropriate about it. But it makes you wonder, because his wife, who had the legs up for him, has got to be getting older now. Has got to be getting up there now. And I would assume for RTU, his ex-wife, his on and off again partner, is probably resembling his mother now. Is probably resembling his mother, who he is under the sweltering roof of. So he's looking for younger to try to, you know, assert his dominance and, you know, make a bid for power. We have Dusek Vint with 500 kicks saying, I'm a victim of this sick man. Thank you for helping us heal. Oh, absolutely. No, I am as well. I am as well. And that's why I'm doing this. This isn't effing a clown show. This isn't some effing ball toss at an amusement park like those other This is serious. I had to really take myself to a dark place to put this together. I was almost sick at some of the connections I was making to really link RTU to some of these concerning traits of sick men. So we're going to look at this article here, and this would go out potentially to his partner here. Now, as we've seen it, RTU is lusting after this, I don't know, 9.5, 10 out of 10 Gen Z woman. Well, he's got a partner with their legs up for him. So we're going to look at this article here, and we're going to look at some of the reasons why potentially RTU, right up here, could be lusting for younger women here now. As a mature woman, there's nothing more unsettling than noticing your husband's gaze wandering towards younger women. It's a situation that can leave you feeling confused, betrayed, or even angry. And we're seeing it here. We're seeing it here. That big old, that smile is like a kid that's just running down to the tree on Christmas morning. You may start to question whether you're still attractive to him or if he's lost interest in you altogether. But before you jump to conclusions, it's important to understand that there are many reasons why your husband's eyes may be drawn to younger women. Again, we're seeing it right here. Look at that look. Look at that look. In this article, we'll explore some of the most common reasons why men look at younger women. And more importantly, what you can do to address the issue. So, if RTU's partner, ex-wife, on and off again, piece of ass, wants, some direction on how to deal with this, hopefully maybe we can provide that here. And here we go. Why does my husband look at younger women? RTU. It's a common misconception that men only look at younger women because they're attracted to them. While there is sufficient research to support that is not just men, but also women check other people out even when they are already in a relationship. There is a wider belief that men do it a lot more, but it's not always because he is a serial cheater or does not respect you. Yeah, like I said, his woman had her legs up for him, and there he is, lusting after younger. I mean, how does that gotta make an older woman feel? How does that make an older woman feel? Sometimes when it comes to why I believe those two are still together is because for his ex-partner, his on and off again partner, there's just no quality penis out there where they live. So she's stuck with it. Of course, some men do look at younger women because they're attracted to them. While this can be hurtful and confusing for their partners, it's important to remember that attraction is natural human emotion. I mean, that's fair that it is a natural human emotion, but when you're in your 40s, in some dark basement, lights off, and you're scrolling through a Gen Z woman's social media, and you got that kind of smile on your face, I don't think it's natural. I don't think it comes from a natural place. I think it comes from a place of deviancy. It's not something that can be controlled or suppressed. It doesn't necessarily mean that your husband loves you any less. Now, this goes out to his current partner. Some of the things to look out for here. When RTU starts getting the wandering eye. If you've noticed that your husband has started looking at younger women, it's important to approach the situation with care and compassion. Sometimes men can have a midlife crisis, and that sometimes can involve a sudden drastic change in their mood, routine, and lifestyle. And clearly, like I hate to say this, but clearly, this photo sums it up. He's having a midlife crisis, chasing after 21, 22 here, by the look of it. But that was what I think, again, I've talked about before. His sexuality, his preference, his curiosity, and its influence on his fans, on his community. Now, we've talked about it. I'm gonna be talking about it again for people who have all heard me talk about it. These are some of the issues that I've had on top of some of the allegations that have come forward. Not using the condom. You know, we've talked about it before. Not using the condom and having the audacity to tell the same thing to his fans. To tell the same things to his fans. Wanting his fans to make those same immature choices that he has. And I think there's really something sick about that. You know, I came forward recently, in recent times, and I said, you know, everybody, if you're having a thrill at a sports bar, you know, please use the condom. You know, and of course, you know, people are going to make their own decisions. We're adults here. And I think there's just something absolutely disgusting, absolutely despicable about coming forward, you know, to your audience who looks up to you. And, you know, like I said, I believe one of the reasons that RTU goes so open on the sexuality on his streams is because he wants to help fans come to terms with who they are sexually. And, you know, if you are in that place where you're very open and you're very explicit in your sexual needs and desires, who are you to tell people not to use a condom because the sensation is better? Now, I've had multiple fans of RTU actually come forward and say this to me, that RTU told me not to use the condom because it feels better. And when I heard an audience coming forward and saying that to me, I mean, I was just, good God. I mean, like, it's one of the most destructive. He must be held responsible. Yes, I agree. One of the most irreprehensible things that you can say to your audience. And if you guys remember, and we spoke about it before, that because of RTU's influence, because of his escalating sexuality, one of his fans walked in the shoes of ReviewTechUSA. And we all know the story. An RTU fan got out one night. And what did he do? If anybody remembers the story, he didn't use the condom. He got a woman pregnant, living with his mother and his father. He walked in the shoes of ReviewTechUSA. And I do hope that somewhere in that twisted mind that he takes responsibility for that. I hope he takes responsibility for that because, you know, you can go on the air, you can take your shirt off, you can oil your nipples up. You know, that's your choice to make. If that's the kind of content that you want to give to your viewers, if that's the way you want to express yourself, that's fine. You know, ReviewTechUSA, if you don't want to use the condom because, you know, your effing woman's sperm count, whatever, her eggs are dried up, that's fine. But for you to tell your fans not to use a condom, that's absolutely one of the most disgusting, irreprehensible things I've heard a content creator do. That's one of the most disgusting things that I've heard a content creator say to their audience. And just when I thought it couldn't get bad enough, just when I thought things couldn't get more disgusting, in preparation for doing this stream, I mean, things were just flying out of the woodwork. You're trying to research, you're trying to put 2 and 2 together. And something even more disgusting comes out. And we're going to play the clip here. Now, again, I want to give everybody time in case you're not comfortable with this type of language, with this type of content. But, again, we have the 8-bit Eric here sharing the information. Now, I just want to give everybody a moment because I hope none of you are, eating your supper, maybe having a cup of coffee, because this is some concerning stuff. We are going to take a look at this. Now, I don't want to subject my audience to this debauchery, but as an example, when we're asking ourselves the question, has RTU sexuality gone too far? I think this is a great example of that. So I want to make sure everybody has time to leave the stream. If you don't want this type of sick, degenerate behavior injected into your life. So here we go with the 8-bit Eric. And isn't this a lovely title here? Richard jerked off, I'm gonna repeat the language here, onto his own face. And told the chat about it, as you do. So let's see what he's got to say. Let's listen to this riveting story of RTU blowing his load on his own face. Lovely. I warned you guys. To get walking if some of this topic is a little too challenging for people.
A fun fact, one time I remember I was about going to work. This girl I met at college, she came back to my place, and we just didn't. I left with blue balls, and I remember. So I was like, I'm like, dude, I cannot go to work with these blue balls. So
oh, good Lord, good Lord! First of all, he can't work because he was blue balled. That probably explains why he doesn't have a job today. Good Lord.
Feed myself. Oh, I DSP'd, and dude, I shot a rope because I had such a
See, you can kind of see that shame. You guys notice that shame. But he can't help himself. He can't help but express himself sexually.
So, I DSP'd myself. Oh, I DSP'd, and dude, I shot a rope because I had such massive blue balls from this girl. It felt like it went
oh my God,
right here on my.
He's proud of it. Look at that smile on he's proud of it, for Christ's sake. He's proud of it. Good Lord, if he would have had a video clip of it, he probably would have showed it for the whole damn world to see. He's proud of this. He wants you to know this.
My chin. It was like a catapult from my penis, man. And I was like, oh.
See, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm asking myself. Are his audience laughing? Are they thinking, oh, Uncle Richard, this is a great story? This is the kind of crap that he subjects his audience to. And asking that question that we're going to get to, I think this is a great point. Again, when you talk about, has his sexuality gone too far? When is enough enough? When is crossing the line in relation to giving people what it doesn't make sense to me. Do we have anybody in the chat right now? Because I did want to reach out to some people. I wanted to see somehow, and I don't think we will. I would love to speak with a real RTU fan who celebrates this garbage.
God, if that was like not a half a foot, yeah, you've done it too, Seymour. So you
ew! Oh my God! So what? What? Oh, we got to go back. Hold on a second.
And I was like, oh God, if that was like not a half a foot, yeah, you've done it too, Seymour. So you could. I'm like,
So Jesus Christ, see, they're following in the footsteps of RTU, jerking off onto their own faces as well, and sharing the stories with Uncle Richard here. I mean, how sick is that? You know, fans, if I get to that point where I'm sexually expressing myself in this disgusting manner, just tell me to get off the air. That was absolutely disgusting. So RTU, who's supposed to be this monumental name in the industry, is sitting here conversing with his fans about jerking off onto their own faces. Lovely.
like, there was like, you know, man, it still could be a thing even when you're an old man like me. It's like, you know, you don't finish, right? Whether it be by yourself or you're messing around. So it was like my micro penis became a cannon.
Oh my God. And what? And this is recent, fans. This is recent, by the way. He hasn't learned from his past behavior. He hasn't learned time and time again that expressing himself in this overly sexual way is not something that's to be celebrated, because we're talking about it. And is there anybody in the chat that thought that was funny? Is there anybody in the chat that's thinking, wow, you know, I want to be a part of this community. You know, this is a community that has something to say. This is a community, and this is a man that really speaks to me. Here. He should be castrated for the good of society. I mean, that could be an option. I was even thinking of taking that route myself. That was sickening, I agree. That's another thing, too. There is allegation. Now, in my research, I wasn't able to find anything. But apparently RTU himself has taken a shot at getting into that entertainment industry here on the OnlyFans platform. Now, if anybody wants to share the link, we have to be really careful with what we show. But absolutely disgusting, absolutely sickening. And again, it comes back to the bullet point that I made here, talking about his sexuality and its influence on the fans. I believe, and I've said this before, I feel when you try to build a community, you really find and you really reach people that have similar values to yourself. And you heard it in the chat. You heard it in the chat that somebody, without any kind of self-awareness at all, listened to this story about RTU finishing himself off onto his own face and just casually says, yep, I've been there too. Like, I'm sorry, that's not the type of community that I'm trying to build. And, you know, everybody's entitled to their own content, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that we can't speak up against it, especially when we have been subjected to the victimization of this man. Now, I remember one time when I was really coming forward. You know what RTU said to me? He said that I needed to get off the internet and find a set of tits. Can you believe that? Could you believe, fans, if I just stopped this whole career, got off, and settled for a set of tits? That's not who I am. Now, I am getting information here on this second edition of PWR Speaks. Fans, Ducette Vinte has just given 25 subs. Now, I appreciate it, but this isn't about support. This is about coming forward. This is about speaking about the injustices in these industries and how I think some of these sick men, use these platforms for evil, for degeneracy. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let me take a sip here. I'm hot. But yes, I do have an issue with it. I do have an issue with it. When you go sexual and you know that you have an audience that looks up to you and follows your way of life, this is what you create. And thank you, Jamie. Jamie, you saved us tonight from this bad man with 5 gifted memberships. Big ups to Jamie. But we're going to keep going. I still got some points that I want to make. So again, now another warning here, because I'm making it through my list here. I'm making it through my list. When we talk about his sexuality and how that influences his fans, we have something now. I really question to myself, do I want to show this? Do I want to show this footage? I think it's important for us to come together and confront some of the ugly truths of this man. Now, when I initially watched this clip, I was absolutely disgusted. Now, I don't want to kink shame everybody. You know, everybody has their thing. But when you integrate that into your community, into your content, it's not going to look good to everybody. So we do have something here. I'm going to give you guys about a minute warning. A minute warning. So either look away from the screen, shut down the stream, and walk away. Maybe go for a walk outside. Because this is incredibly challenging. Now, we did have a friend of the channel provide this to me. Let's make sure we got... Yes, we do. We do. Now, here we go. Just another Saturday night. You know, just imagine this. Just imagine this. It's Saturday night. You're settling in with one of your favorite legacy YouTubers. Because he is a legacy YouTuber. He is. He absolutely is, from my research, a legacy creator. So just imagine, you know, you settle in for a Saturday night with RTU, talking Trump, talking tech, talking DSP, whatever. And this is what you're subjected to here. Now, fans, it is difficult to watch. I know that. And I'm going to give my thoughts on it. So here we go. I hope you've all finished your suppers here.
I said, you know, hey, you know, I'm requesting assistance to try and locate her.
Oh, there's somebody in the bed there.
What in the hell are you doing?
There's someone in the bed there.
She's doing stretches.
Documentation for a food business called Coffee Brand Coffee.
If you can't
and,
see,
of course,
since we are audio only tonight, I am shaking my head. I am shaking my head. Look, she's got her legs up. She's got her legs up for RT here.
Here, Amber Brown was gracious enough to respond to my request for public information, and she said, this manufacturer does not appear to be registered with the department under our food manufacturing program.
That's quite a position. That's quite a position for a man that can only do the missionary one-on-one here.
Making the stream interesting.
So there is no coffee brand coffee factory in
Oh, no!
Now, if we go back to the LLC.
Now, see, this is where I have an issue with this. This is where I have an issue with this because he has his content. I don't really know what to describe RTU as. Is he a minute-to-minute streamer like myself? Is he a React channel? Is he a gaming channel? I don't know how you would really define it. But what's going on here is none of that. Now, you know, I could understand it if his channel went along the concept of a whole, you know, honey, I'm home, you know, an aged couple, you know, learning new techniques, you know, learning ways to spice up the bedroom. But that's not what this is. This is not some wholesome Facebook, honey, I'm home channel here.
It says, well, of course it's not in Utah. The physical address
Can you kiss me without showing a boob?
says it's in
Ew!
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Well, if
Oh, good Lord. Ew. Oh, we have some confirmed vomiting. We have some confirmed vomiting. Now, the reason I'm showing this, you know, I've talked about before about subjecting my audience to things that I wouldn't want to see. But I talked about when I do these PWR Speaks pieces that I'm going to be doing. We're going to be confronted with some concerning truths. So what I want you all to do is just imagine you're not on a PWR stream and you're finding comfort in a Saturday night RTU stream, and I want to see the fans' reactions. How would you feel if this was going on?
Oh, wait, I had the mic on me. Oops.
you actually pull up,
Yeah, I had the mic right under.
Like, is this something that you'd want to be watching by your bedside
It's
as you
actually-
slowly drift
Well,
off to sleep?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I don't think so.
So this department, very long name, this is the department
I would
that
be
handles, like,
traumatized.
food manufacturing, as well as many, many other things. As you can see on their website here, you know, it's everything from campgrounds to butter, Christmas
Well, that's
tree
the thing,
grower
too. A
license.
lot of my audience is saying that they don't want this. They wouldn't want this. But do you think that his audience does want this behavior? Are they celebrating this behavior? Are they thinking of this as a massive win for RTU? Potentially getting a piece of ass tonight here.
Yeah, it's just that he's just doing drop ship, and he was hoping that he had such a strong brand. I don't know how.
Your lady is beckoning you. Don't ignore her like I do Cat.
Can I come over and watch?
Ew! What? Okay, so, Jesus Christ, there is so much, fans, there is so much to unpack here. So, my community, I'm not seeing one positive comment saying, hey, I'm kind of into this. Nothing. But somebody in his community is wanting to watch. Absolutely. That is the community he's built. A community of degeneracy, debauchery, and sexual expression.
Oh my dude, I have these AI voices of like people on the internet.
No, I think
know that
that's pretty
sounds
much
dumb.
most of what we get here.
Eee.
I don't think it gets any spicier, fans. Thank God.
Tonight wasn't that bad, but I
Plant and this is everything from giant factories.
Oh,
all way
the
down
camera's
to
off,
the butcher
fans.
shop. So
let's see the moment.
Is the food processing
The camera
plant
goes
licensing
off.
holders. Now, these are
Oh,
all
she's
business
she's
addresses,
grabbing him
business
to
names.
bed. He's taking the headset
This
off.
is all public information.
Good Lord.
So 95
That fat bastard is popping off a thrill right in the middle of his stream. That fat bastard. She's dragging him to the bed. He's taking the headset off. What do you think is going on now?
pages. And this is everything from
Leave
giant
this to your
factories all the
imagination.
way
What do
down
you
to
guys
local
think could
butcher
be
shop.
potentially going
So
on
let's just do a little
here now?
Control F search here, and let's type in coffee.
I mean, I wonder how long it would even take RTU to get over to the bed and get on top of her, for Christ's sake.
So with Control F coffee, there's 83 results.
Oh, he turned it off. So what's going on here? When do we get back to the action? I just want to see his reaction. Did he get the thrill? Did he get the thrill? It probably smelt like a bag of McDonald's in that bedroom that night, I tell you that.
I got to give, dude, that thing lasted almost 8 hours.
So there you go. That's a great example, again, of RTU subjecting his audience to his sexuality openly. We have fans saying they may need therapy after that piece. Incredible. You know, I champion, you know, if you feel that you do need therapy after this piece, I would absolutely encourage that. Now we're moving on to the next bullet point here. I talked about it earlier, and I really want to discover and come to a conclusion on this. I talked about the connection between his sexuality and rage. Now we're going to see here. We've talked about this before. We've talked about this before.
And take his keyboard away. Maybe his father.
The level of rage that this man has inside of him, the level of rage that he expressed when he was going back and forth with a woman over text message, trying to arrange a time. It was F this, F that. Look at this. And we're going to get into my next bit of research here and see if we can connect these dots that I feel are a part of this man's life.
Could do it. Or maybe his daughter that he should be taking care of should.
Like, if you were a woman, fans, I don't know if we have any women in the audience tonight. I pray we don't. Imagine yourself as a woman saying no to this man in the bedroom. And this is the kind of rage that you see behind that closed door.
All of these people, if I had to pretend to apologize to these people, I'd rather work at Walmart again. Eric, you're another one. I'll watch my words.
Look at that look. Look at that look in his eye. Look at that hatred in his eyes.
See me anywhere. It goes from jokes and roasting to you saying that I should be taking care of my sick kid who's taken care of. Me and the mother live in 2 separate houses. Keep my fucking kid's name out of your mouth.
Could you believe it?
Because then you'll have to worry.
Could you believe?
And I don't think anyone here will hold that against me.
Being in the position of a woman saying no to RTU. Look at the finger going up. Look at the finger going up here.
Shut the fuck up about my kid.
There? Yes, I'm here. Could you hear me?
Now, we talked about this connection that I am going to look into here. I have it here. Now, this is very interesting. They call it eroticized rage. They call it eroticized rage. That's what they're calling it. And this is what I really think that RTU suffers from personally. We're going to take a look at it here. Now, they asked the question, what is eroticized rage? And let's see if we can connect it to RTU and his behavior. Okay. Eroticized rage is a complex emotional and psychological dynamic in which anger becomes intertwined with sexual arousal. For many, this fusion is not conscious, yet it can drive patterns of compulsive sexual behavior, like we're seeing on his stream. Risky encounters, like him popping off a thrill in front of his audience, and difficulties with emotional intimacy. Instead of expressing or processing anger directly, individuals may direct it into sexual thought, fantasies, or behaviors, often in ways that feel compulsive, confusing, or even shame-inducing. This concept, and like I said, this concept I believe really sums up RTU and his level of sexual expression. Particularly relevant in sex therapy and trauma work, as it often appears in clients with unresolved trauma, insecure attachment patterns, or long-standing intimacy struggles. Well, eroticized rage can show up differently across individuals. It often signals deeper emotional wounds that need attention, not just a behavior change. And we see some of the templates here. Now, this is what I really want. When I was doing the research, like I said, I had to put myself in some dark places to understand RTU sexuality. And this really spoke to me. This part right here. Now, this is First Premier Therapy, breaking this down for us. How eroticized rage shows up. And again, we will put a picture of RTU just to remind you of the sick man, you know, that we're speaking about here. I don't want to bring up any trauma on anybody. How eroticized rage shows up. Eroticized rage can be overt or subtle, but it often includes one or more of the following manifestations. Now, how much of this sounds like RTU? Aggressive or violent fantasies. These might include themes of domination, humiliation, or revenge. For some, these fantasies become the primary way they're experiencing arousal. So that's something that really rang a bell to me. What if he does have this connection between humiliation and arousal? When he's on the stream, oiling his nipples up or, you know, taking the shirt, maybe that's what gets him up. Compulsive or risky sexual behaviors. Acting out with multiple partners, as we are going to get into with this e-thought here, Becky Boop, who was sending him lingerie photos. Engaging in power imbalanced relationships. Does that sound familiar from RTU? Or using sex to numb emotional pain. Role-playing and control dynamics. Some use role play to safely explore themes of dominance or submission. Others may recreate harmful dynamics from past trauma, sometimes unconsciously, in an effort to master their pain. And we also have avoidance of emotional intimacy. Emotional closeness may feel threatening. Instead, individuals may pursue intensity over intimacy, using sex as a substitute for connection rather than a part of it. And we see it here.
Didn't you not want Becky around when that was the reason why you didn't want her when she came back to crazy around the kids?
Now we're going to watch this piece together here and see how that sex and rage manifests during this conversation here.
I love how we can't even hear the conversation.
I know, I can't hear her either. What the hell?
Funny how that works.
Now, did you not want Becky here because you didn't want her around the kids?
And that this is who he's speaking to, fans, is the same woman that had her legs up for him. Frank Booth 666 with 5 subs. Hopefully, the subs that you guys have given tonight are because this is a powerful piece. This isn't effing lolcow. This is serious. You don't understand, fans, the dark place that I had to put myself in to bring this to you. You know, there comes a time when you're a minute-to-minute gamer streamer, not a lolcow, that sometimes the game's gotta come off. And like I said, if all my career was effing buddy trolls, and I have nothing left to say, brother, I am going out speaking on the injustices that surround my industry. My industry. You know, I'm the young guy, you know, following the path of some of these original era guys. And when I see these injustices, when I see this manipulation of communities and this sexual expression, I'm going to speak about it. And I ain't ringing no goddamn bell. I ain't screaming, whoa, buddy. I'm bringing forward the content in an educated and presentable way here. So anyway, we're going to get back into this. So just to let everybody know, what is going on here is RTU arguing with that woman who had her legs in the air for him, and his lusting over this big bus line he thought here.
Lauren offered me a room in her home.
Shut up, Becky!
Sell herself necessarily around the kids, and I didn't know well,
And what's really unfortunate too is I think she's drunk. I think RTU's partner, now this is just my speculation, is drunk during this conversation, or she's zonked out on Ambien or something.
You know, I warned you from the time you told me you were first talking with her what she was about and what she wanted from you, and...
First, I'm sorry. He should tell her she's on stream. He should tell her she's on stream and that I'm listening.
You're on. She knows I'm streaming now, Becky.
Does
shut
she
the
know
fuck
I'm
up.
listening? Does she know I'm listening?
That language to a woman as well really shows you, I think, a glimpse into what ReviewTechUSA upbringing could have been like.
I'm about to call this out.
Well, why does she sound like she's high on something, Rich?
Didn't I tell
her.
you back in the day that Becky sold her ass on Craigslist too?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Good Lord.
Okay.
All right. So she said.
Yeah, but don't you sell your nipples on YouTube to your audience? Review Tech RT? Aren't you selling cucumber fellatio to your audience? So what's wrong with a woman selling a couple thirsty lingerie pics here?
She said I was lying about that.
Ask Lauren if she offered me a room in her house once you said I wasn't going to be living with you. Ask her that.
Good Lord.
Did you offer her a room in her house? Did you offer a room in your house? I didn't know about that until 2 seconds ago.
I didn't offer her... What do you mean?
Are you asleep?
I was just laying here, like, not fully awake.
She said you offered her a room in your house.
And here you go. Here's this anger coming out of RTU when I watch this clip. It may be really subtle, but you notice that rage building as he deals with these women here. I mean, how many men could handle 4 women all pointing their finger at you here?
I didn't offer her a room in my house, but
that's not what she told me.
Offering to help her out if she was stuck, remember? But
no, I don't remember that at all.
Of course you don't.
You also know if anything ever happened between you and anyone else, we were done forever, right?
Yeah, and you said you didn't want her around the kids, right?
I honestly don't fully remember, but I didn't want you and her around the kids. That is definitely
Good Lord.
Okay, so there it is. All right, I don't know what's the difference between the two of them, but nonetheless, it wasn't. She's starting to say it was mommy and daddy that didn't want them around in the house that I own.
I said mommy.
That didn't sound like her mother. That sounded like the mother of his children, that she's either fucked up, drunk, half asleep, or taking opioids.
Well, she'd have to be one of the following to be sleeping with this guy, for Christ's sake.
No, she was asleep. That's all it was.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Can I say something really quick about this? Do you know how fucked up it is that, so Lauren has many kids. I'm not going to put out the number. So do you know how fucked up it is that she has to rely on Rich for child support? So every time he calls her and puts her on the spot, it's essentially making her jeopardize the child support she's going to get from you.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
There's that rage. There's that rage. We all know. You know, people always want to talk about having kids as this wholesome thing. It's sex. It's not using the condom. You know, some people are more prepared for it than others. But you see, when this Becky Bop starts speaking about Rich's sexual situation, watch this anger come out. That shift here. And here's where I can really pinpoint it here.
It's essentially making her jeopardize the child support she's going to get from you.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
No,
Lauren
it's
would
true.
rip my balls
It's
off.
true.
She's a
It's
boss.
so
She
fucked
doesn't.
up.
If
Where's
anything,
the
I'm
money you're
her
supposed to
bitch,
give
and I'm
her?
admitting
Where's
that
the
right
money?
now.
And see, that goes back to that whole thing we were talking about. That I'm just trying to find here about fantasies of being submissive here.
Stop with
Rich?
your pontificating.
How about this, Rich? It's my turn to ask you a question. Did you not tell me around 2018 that you give Lauren $5,000 a month to live off of while
Good
she takes care of your
Lord.
3 kids?
Good Lord.
Of course
And
you
it's
don't
none of your
remember.
fucking business
Of course-
anyway, and we didn't
it
talk
was
in
my business
2018.
because you told me. Where am I pulling that
Well,
out of?
somebody asked the question, does Rich get pegged? We don't know. We don't know. But as I said, when men start getting to middle age and the one-on-one wham bam, thank you ma'am on top of your wife for 15 years gets old, you know, some men want to experience other scenarios. And with the level of sexual expression that Rich exhibits, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken on that thrill.
You told me that. Of course you don't remember. How fucking convenient.
Why are
You
we
fucking
gonna
liar.
Listen,
why are we
I'm
gonna
not
down a man who's
All right, hang on to the dog
My
pile.
kids are fully
Hang on to
taken
the
care
dog
of, and
pile.
what I
Everybody
pay
be
for
quiet
them?
just for a second. Everybody be quiet just for a second. Lynx? Lynx, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear
And
me?
the sun is calling out now.
Lynx has a little bit of information to drop.
Like, I mean, good Lord, men, look at the position he's in. Look at the position he's in. If you had 5 women all putting allegations on you, baby, like, I don't care if you're Tom Cruise, squeaky clean, I guarantee we'd all be in that same position as RTU. But again, I think this goes back to that potential of having this humiliation fetish here.
We'll bring her back out. Lynx, what did you want to say?
I was just going to say that, so we all know what happened with the corset picture and how Becky was begging for it to be seen by RTU.
Please.
And there was multiple people in my server when she said this, not 1, not 2, but on 3 different days, 3 different occasions, where she wishes that RTU would see this photo so
Good
he would
Lord.
spark out and freak out and talk about her. Also, I'd like to mention, Becky, you were only here
She was
because-
she was sending the thirst traps to RTU.
of RTU, and RTU is only here because I asked him to come here.
I was
He's not
invited.
here for you, you little bitch.
He was
He's
invited.
here for me.
And
That's why when he was live
you've been
streaming with
talking
you
over
on,
everybody.
that's why
We all know that RTU's going to go for the thicker one.
was live streaming with you on, he ignored
You've been
you just to
talking-
read my comments from the chat. It's still up on his channel. You all can
You've
go
been
check.
talking over everybody, Miss
I
Karen.
don't care.
Give
That's
me a
because
second.
there's
I'm
4
here
people
for 1 second.
dogpiling on me. You're not even part of the show.
And you notice he is just looking at the floor like a kid in the principal's
Becky,
office.
I'm going to drag her out. You can respond after. Just talk.
As I was saying, I'm actually the one who asked him if he would do a podcast with you here, not him. I'm the one who wanted this.
Because you laid a
So
trap
let's not
as
forget
usual.
that.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Because you tried to lay a
People
trap
were
as
sending
usual.
me the stupid ass pictures of her in that corset too. I didn't give a fuck. I just
Yeah, did
ignored
I
them.
send
I
it?
don't
No,
care.
Lynx did. Lynx sent it.
Okay, well, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about the lingerie pictures. So we're moving on to the next topic here that I thought was another really interesting point that I wanted to bring up here. And I did share this. It's only a quick clip. Again, make sure you finish your suppers, everybody. Because I honestly, with some of the footage we've played, some of the behaviors on display, like I'm ill. I'm sick to my stomach. So here's another one. And this relates to a topic when I've talked about RTU. This is another thing that I've picked up on that I want to talk about here. So it's only 5 seconds. We'll play it a few times.
Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me. Here it is. Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me. Here it is. Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me.
This whole idea. Now, this farting thing that he does, I think, is an expression of dominance. It's a way to exhibit his power, because when people are powerless, they find ways to assert their dominance. And for RTU, I think farting is one of those ways that he asserts his dominance. And we're going to look at a study. We're going to look at a piece of research here related to that. But since we're getting close to the end, I'm going to take a break and take a breath, try to get some of this sick crap out of my head. And once again, I'm going to open up the lines. I'm going to go over on the Kick app service. I'm just going to switch over here. This is all on the fly, guys, so I apologize. We're going to put back that picture of my victimization and leave that on the screen. And I am going, thank you, Too Damn Filthy, with the 100 kicks. Supporters are hot tonight. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share my Streamlab collab cam. Now the camera is off the screen. I think it also gives you an option if you don't want to be on camera as well. So I will share that. And let's see if we have any calls. We'll do a break. I wanted this to be interactive. Either people just aren't interested in speaking, or they're just enjoying the show. So this is a break for you guys to have your say. And I'm watching the collab cam here now, as we have another piece of research to get into. Right now, I'm waiting. I am allowing it. And if nobody calls, I'll just continue on with my research. Yes, the lines are open, fans. And if I feel like I'm waiting too long, I'll just keep going. You know, I could understand that maybe people are too afraid. That's why I'm off camera tonight, because these are powerful men. These are powerful men. And I didn't want this piece to be based off who I am as a streamer. I just wanted this to be almost like a late night CBC radio investigation piece. So let's see if we get anybody. I'll wait a few minutes. He's mafia. Well, why don't you give us a call and talk about it? People must be afraid. They have to be afraid. So I'll wait a couple minutes, because I don't want the show to just kind of flatline here. If nobody wants to call in, if nobody's interested to participate on this challenging topic, I understand. I completely understand. I was bedridden while researching this topic. Some of the depths of degeneracy I had to sink to bring you this piece was incredibly challenging. So I can understand if nobody does want to call in. So I am going to, one last time, because we can't wait all night. If people don't want to call in, they don't want to call in. That's not really much else we can do. Yeah, no, I literally confined myself to bed with the comfort of PS3, the comfort of that 2009, 2010 era. We're talking DVDs. We're talking physical PS3 games. We're talking magazines. And that gave me the strength, gave me the power to come on here and do this piece. So, wait, we do have an interaction. Hold on. Hello, we have an RTU victim apparently on the line. How are you?
I am okay. I just want to thank you for this piece. This has been a very healing moment for many of us.
Absolutely.
RTU victims.
Absolutely. Now you're coming forward as an RTU. Why don't you quickly tell us your story? How do you feel that you were a victim of this man?
You know, I look at my victimhood as, I don't want to downplay what he has done to me and what he has done to many of us, but my experience with the abuse from RTU, I actually lived the rage. If I may, I'll take you back.
Yeah, absolutely. This is your time. Don't feel rushed.
Wow.
Take us back. Tell us the story.
Okay, I've actually was made aware that PWR Speaks would be happening with RTU on the topic, and ever since this was announced, I really questioned whether I would be able to show up and listen, let alone speak myself. So thank you for giving me the grounds to do so. I went into his chat a few weeks ago, and I believe I heard this story maybe mentioned on a previous PWR broadcast, but the topic of Alyssa Clips came up. Are you familiar with that channel?
Yes.
Yeah, she's a known archiver and clipper. She focuses on the sector and many other areas, and basically just takes clips and uploads them for like the history of it, call it. It's not a stance that she takes herself, but given that she focuses on the infamous sector, she oftentimes uploads the Ethan Ralphs of the world, right? Some of these more extreme characters.
I gotcha.
Okay. Well, it was brought up in his chat that Alyssa Clips, somebody mentioned that she at one point grifted for fundraising. It was later explained to RTU that she had cancer and potentially on multiple occasions. And what really stuck out to me is once RTU found out that it was Alyssa Clips that had potentially had cancer and fundraised for her treatment, as opposed to taking a step back and not making this about sexuality or politics or anything, he immediately made it about politics, immediately raged about her, and as opposed to saying, you know, I wish you're well on your healing journey or whatever, he actually abused her in a rage-filled tirade, went after her about how she's a grifter because she's a Trump supporter,
Oh
blah, blah,
my
blah.
God.
And PWR, I have to tell you, it really hurt to see a man get filled with rage and take it out on an anonymous person who couldn't speak for herself in that moment, a cancer victim. And when I said,
and allegedly, just from the name, I'm guessing a woman as well.
A woman, a female, a real female. And I'll just, you know, I'll leave it at this. I was in chat and I said, are you seriously making this woman's cancer political? And he continued to tirade and I got banned. And anywho, ever since that day, RTU's done a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
But ever since that day, you know, there's some things that are internet and there's some things that are beyond the internet. And I would hope that all the buddy trolls in the world, if they heard that PWR actually had something serious going on in his life, they would put the buddy trolling aside and they would say, I stand with PWR. I want to heal with PWR.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes. And so that's it. I wanted to share my story.
Well, before I let you go, can I ask you a question? Just as somebody with experience, I think a lot of people think that's a bit silly when I say this, but when I talk about this connection between sex and rage, do you think that is fitting to RTU? That a lot of his rage is very sexual based?
That's really interesting. And I don't want to, I'll answer your question with
Sure.
a yes. I do believe that. And I would say that a way to add to your argument or your theory is look at Phil, the other 3-letter product, right? He talks about Phil all the time and his abusing ways. And there's really not a lot of rage. He's laughing, he's joking, But this Alyssa Clips, she gets brought up. It's a woman, and then it's rage, and it's sexual, and it's deviant, and it's sick. It's really sick. And God only knows what he did later on in that chat. I left. He could have gone on and on for hours about it. I don't know, but I've seen it. I've witnessed it.
And you've said enough is enough.
Enough is
for
enough.
the way
I
you
will
were
never
treated
stand
by
with
that
him.
man.
Correct.
Well, I really want to thank you for your bravery. That was an incredible testimony that you gave. I appreciate you. I'm keeping your identity anonymous here.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for your interaction.
I just want to say thank you, PWR, and thank you to the PWR Army for helping me heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be well.
See, this is what this kind of thing is all about. That was a real fan coming forward with a pretty interesting claim. And, I don't think that's anything new for RTU. I think he burns a lot of his closest people unknowingly or uncaringly. Like I said, it comes to a point when you make mistakes as a content creator. When you make mistakes as somebody in this industry, you have to learn from it. You have to learn how it affects your community, and you try to make changes. And by that testimony, he's just allowing that cycle of abuse to continue. I'm going to share the link one more time. That was an incredible call. So I'm going to open it up because we are actually I only got like 3 more bullet points here. So I've been talking so much. I want to see if anybody else wants to come forward. There is actually a question. I was hoping to speak with a real RTU fan who would come forward and who would talk about wanting this sexual content. Like, where's this Seymour who came on his own face just like RTU did? I want to talk to somebody from that perspective who actually finds enjoyment, who actually finds camaraderie with RTU and in his behavior. So we'll give it another minute here. Anybody feel free. We can keep your identity anonymous. As I said, I'm afraid to do this. The last time that we did PWR Speaks, when we were talking about the duty streams, we got cut off the air, fans. We got cut off the air. So I don't know. We could be shut down tonight. We don't know. These are some really controversial topics that we're covering. These are some powerful men that have a long reach. As you see on that photo, I'm not even safe in my own bed. I'm not even safe in a vulnerable position from this man. And I believe that there are others out there that feel the same way. So we're going to give you guys another minute. It doesn't matter if I just stop talking. Maybe I'll read the chat. But I want to see if we have any other interactions. I know there's a lot of people that want to speak about RTU, but some are just too afraid. And I can understand that. I was pacing the floor back and forth, horrified to go on the air tonight. I was thinking, am I going to have a knock at my door? Is my stream going to be shut down? I don't know. But we're making our way through. We're making our way through. As challenging as some of this stuff is, as sickening as some of it is, I think we're making it through. So I am going to take a moment. I'm also going to read some comments here as I see if we get another caller towards the end of the program here. So let me read some of your comments here. Rich can't do anything. Well, we don't know that for sure. Somebody says, I'm afraid to call in. I'm afraid. We have people in the chat. And I hope the world gets wind of this and these men and their behavior. People are afraid to speak their truth about this man. People say they're feeling vulnerable. Thank you, everybody sending the kicks. I really appreciate it. But I'm hot. I'm fired up, and I'm speaking for justice. I didn't expect monumental levels of support. I knew I wanted to come forward. RTU hired gang stalkers to stalk my home. Good Lord. This burns my butt. Prayers for your safety. Yes, absolutely. I mean, good Lord. We don't know. Everybody likes to laugh and joke and say he thinks that he's mafia. Brother, he could be. Now, hold on. We have another call here. Hello.
Yo, what's up, buddy?
How are you tonight? Now, we are talking about RTU. Are you a fan? Are you a former fan? Or do you have something to say?
Of him. I don't know too much about RTU. I know about the Dropbox. I know about the DSP tattoo. I mean, I kind of just want you to, like, you know, lay it on me, see what's up.
Well, haven't you been following the program?
Buddy, I was busy. I just tuned in, but, like, I'm hot and I'm ready now.
Well, my main issue that I'm trying to get to the bottom of is the question, has RTU become too sexualized? Has his comments, his actions, his behaviors become too sexual? What are your thoughts on it?
If you're getting a tattoo of another man about the gooning incident that DSP had, I mean, that's already too far, dude. Like,
yeah,
you're done.
Yeah.
It's over.
I mean, getting a tattoo of another man's cum shot face. And earlier he talked about coming on his own face, for Christ's sake.
I heard about that. I think I heard about that from you, buddy.
Yeah, it really makes you think where this guy's head is at.
Yeah, I think he's weird, dude. I just wanted to get your perspective, like the fucking, like, the cliff notes, like the 1 minute, like, what do you think about RTU?
Honestly, I think he's sick. And the crap that he subjects this industry to is absolutely inexcusable.
I'd agree, honestly. Like, even just looking at him, dude, like, he looks like a gooner.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, you look at a Chad like the fucking PWR, buddy, like, that's a hot product. Like, you deserve more than RTU ever has gotten, dude.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. But it's not what I deserve tonight. It's about justice. Doing the right thing and coming out openly and speaking. So I want to thank you for your call, dude. If you're really curious, go back and watch the replay and see some of the disturbing things that we've covered.
Are you ripping some beers too, buddy?
No, I am not.
I think you should.
Okay, well, I'm not. No, I'm not drinking. I'm not drinking tonight. I am sober tonight. I'm not on medication. I've spent days in this disgusting, dark place to bring you this piece. But I still appreciate the call, so we'll leave it open one more time, guys. The Streamlabs link is pinned at the top of the Kick chat. I'm also going to post it, I believe, in the YouTube as well here right now, so we'll give another couple minutes. Doesn't seem like many, I think people are afraid. I do. And I can understand that. But I would really like some people to come forward and share their story. Otherwise, we'll just continue. I have 3 more points. We're right on time. We're right along schedule for this piece that I wanted to do. So everything is going very well. I mean, I am sweating. I'm looking over my shoulder. I even locked my window, for Christ's sake. I locked the window to this room, thinking, in the middle of this piece, somebody could crawl in and slit my throat. I don't know. I don't know what these mafia-esque men are capable of. So anyway, I guess we will continue on. So anyway, the point I was making, I'm going to show this again. Now, this is something that happens time after time.
Here it is. Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me.
Asserting his dominance. Asserting dominance by farting. As if to put the exclamation point on what he wants to say. Now, we actually have a piece here I am going to read from here. Now, this is from a wife. This is from a wife who had something to say on men who exhibit this type of behavior, and I'm going to bring it up here. And this is an actual wife of a man speaking, and we will see again if this is something that could exhibit Richard's behavior. The piece is called "My Husband's Farts Are So Stinky, I'm Considering Divorce." Now, we know that RTU is not currently married as of now. We've seen through his expression of dominance
Here it is. Okay.
that clearly he's a man who enjoys his flatulence. Now, he really does, he reminds me of one of those men. If there's any women in the house tonight who are familiar with men of this mindset, you're having a heated argument in the kitchen. You're having a heated argument in the kitchen with your husband. And you're, speaking to your husband. You're getting a little bit heated, a little bit fired up. And what does the husband do? He farts. He farts as if to make a statement. There are men like that. There are men like that. And here is an example of it. "My husband's farts are so stinky, I'm considering divorce." One woman recently shared her story on Reddit. During the COVID pandemic, she caught the virus and lost her sense of smell, as did thousands of other people around the world when we were dealing with that worldwide medical controversy. She didn't realize that his farts were so rancid right off the bat. His diet didn't really help the situation either. Now, RTU has admitted he is a man who loves his Taco Bell, so I could only imagine. Once we got married, things went downhill very quickly. He started inhaling as many snacks. Oh, 1 second. We have like an ad playing. As much dairy as possible at night. And like we said, RTU, when we covered that piece of RTU's health journey, he talked about that 1, 2, 3 in the morning, filling his face with Taco Bell. Could you imagine a woman sharing a bed with a man with that sort of dietary habit? Sometimes he would go out and get a deep dish pizza, fried cheese, loaded pizza, and devour it at 11 p.m. Once she had her sense of smell back, the woman began to notice her husband's farts were just downright awful. At first, I thought it was just a bad fart here and there. But as the nights progressed, I realized that the bad farts were becoming a nightly nightmare. Good God. The wife admitted that while she had smelled bad farts before, there was something deeply wrong with her husband's. She confessed that the first time that one of these farts really hit her in the face, and like I said, I do believe RTU is one of those men who will fart, feeling like he's won an argument. She ended up projectile vomiting from the smell. The wife even told her husband there may be a medical condition or something wrong with his health. It got so bad that she decided to sleep in a separate room. Sounds very familiar again to RTU, unless she needs an itch that has to be scratched because there's no quality penis around. She'll drag him to the bed. However, that didn't stop him. The woman revealed that her husband snuck into her room. Now this, when I read this, This absolutely spoke to me as something I could imagine RTU doing. The woman revealed that her husband snuck into her room where she was sleeping with their daughter and farted intentionally. All of this so she would wake up dry heaving and become physically ill from the smell of the farts. In the end, the wife began to sleep in another room with her door completely locked so that her husband wouldn't come in and bother her with the rancid bodily functions. That is very much a mind of a child mentality. The farting stuff. And we'll see it again. We'll see it again here.
Too, so you got that out of me. Here it is. Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me. Here it is. Okay. I farted too, so you got that out of me.
I don't know if it's a manhood thing. I don't know if it's an alpha thing. But there are men who see that as an exclamation point. So that is very much something I believe. I mean, there's tons of instances of him farting to make his point. And I believe personally that this story of this wife talking about the husband's farts being so stinky that she's considering a divorce or separation is very much likely a situation that RTU could find himself in. We're moving on now. We got 2 more points that I want to make, and we already kind of talked about it. I'd love if somebody would call in with their view on it. I don't think anybody is really interested. We are taking it home here shortly, briefly, when I'm done talking. I'm asking that question again. And I'm just gonna speak on it. I'm just gonna speak on my thoughts, what I believe. The question is, hold on here, I gotta make sure. Okay. Do fans want the sexual content? Do the fans want the sexual content from RTU? As I said when I kicked off the show, I think he really could have had a niche. He could have had that niche of being that cool uncle who talks gaming, who talks iPhones, whatever. But instead, for whatever reason, over the past 10 years or so, he has had a lot more sexualization added to his content. And why is that? Why do you believe that is? In my opinion, because the fans are paying for it. The fans, his community that follow in his footsteps with their sexual expression, with their sexual deviancy, pay him to exhibit it. I don't think there's any other reason. I don't think there is any other reason, and any of you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong tonight on PWR Speaks. I think the fans goat him into it. I think he groomed them into paying him to oil up his nipples, whatever the hell this is, taking his shirt off. I think it's completely, exactly. Turtle Dude makes a great point saying $50 to get his shirt off. And where does that $50 come from? It comes from that same RTU fan in his parents' basement who got out one night, didn't wear the condom, and now is responsible for a life. Those are the people. That Seymour who came on his own face and gladly, proudly shared that intimate moment with RTU on his stream. He wants it. Now, I find it really interesting because in doing this piece, I wasn't really sure if anybody would really come forward. I didn't think anybody would really come forward as an RTU defender and give some insight into where the enjoyment lies in paying a guy $50 to take the shirt off, paying a guy to perform fellatio on a cucumber. I was really interested in that perspective. Unfortunately, it's kind of a bust because we didn't have anybody call in with that type of perspective. But oh my God, we actually have a poll over on Kick, and people are asking the question, have you been abused by RTU? And good Lord, 100% of the fans, 100% of the fans have said yes. RTU can't deny the facts anymore. Absolutely. Absolutely. We had one person that says they haven't been. But sometimes abuse takes time to understand. You may not understand that you're being abused in the moment, but as you go on in your life and you have a reoccurrence of your trauma, you will realize that you have been abused. Now we have the final segment of the show coming up. So one more time, I'm going to open up the lines because we're going to be taking it home with my final analysis here. And I'm going to allow you guys to speak. And if you're too afraid to speak, leave a comment. Leave a comment. Send me a message personally if you're too afraid to share your story. I understand that. You know, I'm afraid to bring this coverage because as I shown in that picture that I've referenced multiple times, I myself am a victim of this man. So it's not exactly a comfortable position for me to come on here and talk about it like this. But I think it went really well so far. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't have more stories to come forward, but I can't dwell on that. If people don't want to speak, if they're too afraid to speak, I understand that. So I guess we will get into my two final points here from all the research that I did. You're welcome, Critique the Critics. I appreciate that story. We have 18 people that said they have been abused by RTU. 18 voices speaking up. 18 voices coming forward. So this is my final part of the show. This is where a lot of my research, a lot of my time, finally, things became very clear. Things started to make sense. And here is again, this is my opinion. Here is my conclusion to this whole thing. And it's talking about exhibitionism. Exhibitionism, the misconceptions and the tips to practice safely. Exhibitionism is sometimes confused with exhibitionist disorder, but the former is unlikely to cause harm unless you're RTU. So what is exhibitionism? Exhibitionism is described as the sexual desire to be watched. Again, who does that sound like? Particularly during sexual activity, as we seen when his wife had her legs up in the air and her goddamn dirty feet in his face. Exhibitionism desires fall, under the category of kink. which can be defined as unconventional sex and sexual desires. Exhibitionism is the act of wanting to be seen by other people, says sexologist Marla Renee Stewart. You love being sexual, and you love being seen being sexual. And again, doesn't that just speak on RTU? Common misconceptions because of the continued presence of stigma around sex that is viewed as unconventional or kinky. There can be misunderstandings around behaviors and desires rooted in exhibitionism, partially due to the lack of open communication. Thank you for this. We got a new member to the movement. Thank you for joining us on PWR Speaks. Now, this is the second edition of this show. The first time, fans, we got shut down. But you know what? Not tonight. Not tonight. We're coming forward. We're speaking openly. We're speaking honestly on something very challenging. And we haven't been shut down. That no more abuse movement, fans, that we've started is really becoming stronger. Is really beginning to say something. And I appreciate it. Exhibitionism versus exhibitionistic disorder. Interest and engagement in exhibitionistic behaviors is not the same as exhibitionistic disorder. Oh, that's interesting. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders defines exhibitionist behavior as recurrent and intense sexual arousal from the exposure of one's genitals to an unexpecting person. Now, could that also involve the nipple display that he does? Potentially. I mean, because nobody can just whip out their private parts on these major platforms. So maybe the closest he can get to that is taking the shirt off, letting the bust line out here for being a rather rotund man. Well, he is on a health loss journey, so let's cut him some slack. Criteria for exhibitionist disorder include uncontrollable behavior that lasts for at least 6 months. I mean, geez, we're going on 16 years here with this guy. This particular behavior is harmful because the individual incorporates strangers into their desires without consent. Fans, this is the research that I did. This isn't effing lolcow. This isn't just somebody shooting their mouth off with crap. This is an educated, honest, challenging journey into the sexuality of RTU. And that, when I was up at 2 a.m. researching this topic and came across this piece on Psych Central, I knew I had my conclusion. I knew that I had my conclusion. A portion of his fans don't consent to the nipple play, the cucumber fellatio. But I do believe, I'm going to read that one more time. Criteria for exhibitionist disorder include uncontrollable behavior that lasts at least 6 months. This particular behavior is harmful because the individual incorporates strangers into their desires without consent. In addition, these behaviors and desires impact an individual's ability to engage with their day-to-day life. Now, I am giving a big old check mark, yes, on my question. And of course, this is my opinion, my educated, researched opinion, that RTU is, in fact, an exhibitionist. He is. He absolutely is. Now, there's one other thing that I wanted to go even looking a little further, digging a little deeper, and that is with our good friends back in the university days, baby, on Mayo Clinic, talking about compulsive sexual behaviors. Now, let's see if any of you are fans of RTU. Does any of this ring a bell when it comes to his behaviors? Some signs that you may have compulsive sexual behavior include: you have repeated and intense sexual fantasies, urges, and behaviors that take up a lot of your time and feel as if they're beyond your control. You feel driven to have frequent urges to do certain sexual behaviors, feel a release of tension afterwards, but also feel guilt or deep regret. Now, that is one thing. I don't think this bastard has an ounce of regret for anything he's done. Unfortunately. I would like RTU to do a video. If he does get wind of this, I'd love to see him do a video where he just comes out openly and says, I'm sorry for the sexuality that if he doesn't, then he's okay with it. If RTU does not come forward and make a statement on his potential exhibitionisms and his potential sexual deviancy, if this is just something to laugh and joke about, and then he is sicker than I could even imagine. But I think that would be a great first step in rebuilding a bridge with your community, to just say, you know, I need help. You know, I realize, you know, what I am, and I need help. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to get that. You've tried without success to reduce or control your sexual fantasies, urges, or behaviors. You use compulsive sexual behavior as an escape for other problems such as loneliness, depression, anxiety, or stress, which these are all ailments that RTU has spoken about in the past. You continue to engage in sexual behaviors in spite of them causing serious problems, like effing people clipping every goddamn sexual thing he does on the air. These could include the possibility of giving or getting someone else a sexually transmitted infection, or bizarre sexual ideas in his case. The loss of important relationships, trouble at work, which, you know, this industry, financial issues, or legal problems. So that's it. Now, do I believe that RTU has compulsive sexual behavior? To a point. To a point, yes. The way he expresses himself on stream, I definitely think that is a possibility, that there is a lot of undiscovered sexual trauma in this man's life, and a lot of trauma probably stemming from the youth, and as well being under the sweltering roof of the parents. You know, only one piece of ass in 15 years that he was able to drag down there with him. It's got to be incredibly challenging. But what I do believe is this: exhibitionism, I think, absolutely fits RTU to a T. And to end this piece off, I want to ask that initial question. Has RTU's sexuality gone too far? And you know what, fans? Unfortunately, the answer, I believe, is yes. Yes, it has. And what I think he really needs to do is either come out and explain his motives, his intentions of why his content has become so sexualized in nature, or to come forward, apologize, and admit that he needs some help here. And hopefully, if he does get wind of this PWR Speaks piece that we're doing tonight, hopefully maybe at the most, we could get him some help. So I would encourage that if any of you feel that he needs help, to reach out and say, Richard, I think you have a problem and I think you need help. Anyway, fans, that does it for the second edition of PWR Speaks. And when I came into this, just like I did with Phil, just like I did with DSP, I came into this piece as an RTU victim. But now, I can finally consider myself an RTU survivor. And Richard, I hope that with all your sexual proclivities, you get help. Thank you, everybody.
I'm just gonna testify right now. Ooh, oh, sweet Lord, now. This has been my dream, baby. Ooh, getting on here doing this streaming thing. But let me tell you now, all my life, baby, I'm talking all my life, I've just wanted to entertain the sweet live audience. And baby, there was no father there for me to teach me the struggles of the streets. So I looked up to these dudes who did the dream that I wanted to achieve. So one day, baby, I got on my computer and I started to spread this word, started to build this brand. And then all of a sudden, baby, the numbers start to go up. And these old praying dogs start to get the penises up. Let me tell you now, they don't want this whole PWR thing. No, they don't want, baby, this PWR thing to gain traction, to build a real career, to bring the positivity, man, it only brings them fear. Oh, let me tell you, damn, just when you think you're building something, baby, and we're saying it loud, baby, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, no more abuse, baby, I'm talking, no more abuse. No more abuse. DSP, RTU, go roll over on top of your 3 out of 10 cows. Ow! No more abuse. No more abuse. We just over here doing our own thing, baby. We trying to get used to new ways of doing this streaming thing, baby. We don't need your abuse. We don't need your small penis ruining our dream. Yeah. Damn. Now let me tell you about it, baby. These careers and you're trying to make sweet love, not hate, baby. Sweet love with your audience, and you have to face this kind of persecution, baby. It's hard. It's challenging, baby. It's challenging. Let me tell you, baby, every day, baby, I wake up and I thank the sweet Lord for the opportunity to be here with all of you. So one more time, baby. No more abuse, no more abuse. These losers with they 3-letter names go roll on top of your fat caboose. No more abuse. Ow! No more abuse.